Thank you for coming to the MITS webinar today. The presentation today will be done by Colin Sherman, who you can see at the top there, and I'm going to turn it over to him now. Colin, please take it away.
All right, thanks, Gary. Gary and I were just talking before the presentation about the fact that I've now been to 7 TUGs, which I think is pretty darn good. I'm going to do something a little different today. This is actually my presentation from TUG, and the presentation was the best received I've done, and it's kind of a silly presentation. There's a lot of serious to it, but we're going to have some fun as well, and a lot of it has to do with this t-shirt I'm wearing. So if you're thinking, gee, he looks really underdressed for a professional webinar, you'd be right. So we're a long-time software company that does business intelligence for distributors, right? You probably all know that. We market to you guys quite a lot. And I've actually been with the company 16 years. I'm the director of sales here. And in that time, I've worked with hundreds of distributors. In fact, we looked at some data the other day, and I've done 1,000 demonstrations. So when we created this presentation for TUG, the question was, why does any of this matter? Not can I get good reports, not can I get good data, but why does any of it matter? In 2018, why should a distributor take time out of what they're doing to pay attention to a product like MITS or one of our competitors? And that's what today's presentation is about. So we affectionately call this Distributor Analytics, So What? And the so what starts with a little bit of a story. A couple years ago, moved in with my girlfriend and her 3 kids who I'm helping raise. And what I didn't know was going to happen is that a lot of clothing was going to be purchased for me without my knowledge. So one day I come home from work and this shirt is waiting for me. And it says trust data, not lore. Now, for those of you that did not watch as much Star Trek Next Generation as I did as a kid, which I watched a lot, Data is the android over here. He's a robot, and he is unable to feel emotions, okay? Data. Lore is his evil twin robot, all made by the same creator, who has a malfunctioning emotion chip, and he has too much emotion, and his name is Lore. Now, as a kid, I didn't get the wordplay. As an adult, though, Stephanie gives me this shirt, and I completely love it, because not only is this a Star Trek joke, which is totally my sort of thing, it is also a business intelligence joke. It's also a really powerful statement about where we're at as a society. So the webinar is kind of about this t-shirt, and this is where the idea came from. So let's start by me talking just a little bit about who we are, and then I'm going to dive into why this shirt is so significant and why business intelligence at MITS is so important to distributors right now. We're a 22-year-old software company out of Seattle. You can see Seattle there. Seattle's also back here, different picture. You can see that here in the PowerPoint slides, it's significantly more attractive than it is outside here right now. That's okay. We initially worked with distributors. It's the first group of customers we worked with. And in 2009, we actually redesigned the entire company to be specific to distribution. That's how I've met so many distributors. And it's really a key part of who we are as a company. Everybody here knows about distribution. Our install people, our accounting people, our consultants, our salespeople, everybody. And that shows up in a number of different ways we approach things. But before we talk about that, let's talk a little bit about why we're on this TUG webinar. Well, we work with distributors, right? And we have just about 500 of them. It's actually a little bit over that. We're approaching 550. And of that, 170 of them are on SX. That's a lot. That means we have more customers on SX than any other package, by the way. It also means that we've seen a lot of stuff and we've built a lot of stuff. And what we've seen through all of this is that SX.e, which is a great system, has a problem in common with all of the other distribution systems that are out there, okay? What's that problem? Well, you can put information into the system very easily, but getting information out is quite challenging. And that's true for everybody. You guys can go upgrade to a system that costs 5 times as much, and you're still not going to have good reporting and good ways to get data out of it. That's just the way that it is. So we have to get the information out, right? We have to. And why? But why? So what is the question that we always ask. The VP of sales here always asks me, so what, when I say something. Explain why this thing matters. Well, when we show our software, right, to a distributor, the first thing most people think about is automation. It's 2018, and lots of people at their companies, almost everybody, have people whose job it is literally to make manual reports. Weekly, monthly, yearly, quarterly, doesn't matter, they're making those reports. And a business intelligence tool like MITS can automate all of that. And there's value to that. That absolutely is worthwhile. Those people could be doing other things. They're important people, right? Funny enough, this isn't the most important aspect of business intelligence. It's true that automating those reports is valuable to your company, and for many companies, there's an ROI right there just in automation, okay? To talk about the really important thing and the thing that really gets me excited, we're going to talk about this guy. This is someone that our CEO, Gary, who if you were at TUG, you might have seen talk in front of the whole room. Gary and I both really like Hans. Sadly, he passed away last year, and so that wasn't so great, but we both followed his work pretty closely. He worked for a group called the Gapminder Institute. The Gapminder Institute's primary goal was to combat worldwide ignorance. They wanted to fix it. That's a pretty big goal. And they were working on that through research and talking about how people understand things and how people learn and how people make decisions. I will happily send over after this, to the people that are on the webinar, I will send out a link to the Gapminder Institute, and there's a test there that has 13 questions, and you should take it. It'll only take you a few minutes. What you'll find is, and if I tell you this next part, it kind of makes the test not as good, but what you'll find is you'll get most of the questions wrong. The questions are about the world. However, you only know what you've been told, and there's a lot of other stuff going on in your mind to make you believe something. So, for example, one of the questions is about whether between 1960 and 2010, the poverty levels in the world are better or worse. And most people, when they take that test, answer worse. In fact, it's drastically better. There's lots of things like that where we've heard so much negativity on the news, on TV, on whatever, that our minds now think that that's just the way it is. Hans's study that he did that's my favorite thing is that he went to Swedish, I blanked for a second, he went to Swedish graduate level college students in the medical field, and he gave them a test and asked them to compare two countries against each other and tell him which one had the better infant mortality rates. Basically, if you're going to have a kid, where's the better place to have a kid? There was 25 pairs, ding, 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 down the test, okay? The students took the test. Okay, they got about 25% of these either or questions correct. But wait a minute, this is a group of people who know about the medical world. They're in Europe, and a bunch of the countries were in Europe. Why don't they know about this? They do. The problem is that they have an incomplete data set. They don't have enough information to make that decision. Hans joked, and he talks about this in a lot of his TED Talks, which are all great, by the way, if you want to look him up. He talks about on all these TED Talks that if he gave the same test to the chimpanzees would get 50% right because they're just going to guess. The reality is that the way that we make decisions, the way that our minds think about things, is that we, without proper data, will make decisions that are worse than random. We want to listen to past experience. We want to listen to our gut. We heard 17 news stories about this thing that's really bad, so that must be the biggest, baddest thing, and it must be terrible, right? That's how we are, and that's okay. It just means that we need to get good data to make those good decisions. And that is really why I'm excited, and it's really why this webinar and this company are happening, okay? Because the real value of what we do is making sure that everyone in your organization, whether it be a sales rep or a manager or a CEO, are making decisions with a complete data set, because it's the only way you're going to make good decisions. If you want a very specific distribution example to this, imagine the person that walks through your warehouse and looks and says, holy cow, we're out of this thing. We always stock this. We can't be out of it. That's terrible. And they go and they buy more of it without looking at any report, without looking at any data. Think of all the reasons why that could be wrong. Oh, my PowerPoint slides just went away. There we go. Think of all the reasons that could be wrong. Do we even carry it anymore? Maybe it's just not gone. Maybe that vendor's gone. Maybe we've replaced the product. Maybe we have another product. Maybe one customer bought that product and that customer's gone. There's a bunch of reasons why that could be. You have to have that data to make that good decision. Okay. So let's talk about how we're going to help you empower your users to make those better decisions. We're going to do it through a package of software called MITS Distributor Analytics. Okay? It's all of our software combined together with kind of an interesting concept. And that concept is, our software is going to let you make your own reports, make your own dashboards, make your own scorecards, trend data, chart data, all of that. And you'll be able to do that really easily even if you're not a programmer. And that's really great. Here's the problem. No matter how easy I make it for you to do those things, you're still not going to have time to do it. You're just not. Okay? So what that means is that we have to do it for you. And that's okay. We went out to our customers and we said, what does this actually need to do? Where's the value going to come from? How is it going to make you money? And our customers gave us so much feedback that we created an entirely new development department in our company that does nothing but create content. They make dashboards, they make extracts, they make reports, they make scorecards. That's what they do. And today for SX.e, when we install for you, we have over 1,000 reports, dashboards, and scorecards that are designed by other distributors, many of which are on SX.e, to specifically address the issues facing distribution today. I'm really excited about this for two specific reasons. The first of which is you can save a ton of time by not having to make all these things yourself. Automation and not spending time making it. Value number two, remember, you're going to get a lot of value out of things that you've never seen before. Maybe you don't know about them. That's okay. You know your business. You're not a business intelligence company. Let us bring you what we've learned from other companies. That's pretty darn exciting. This slide gives you an idea of the different areas we've done content for. You get all of this if you become a MITS customer, so it doesn't really, you don't need to like write down the list or anything. What's really I want to do is go into the software now, but as I go into the software, I want to approach it from the idea of why does this matter more than what do the buttons do. If you would like a demo on what the buttons do, I'm happy to do that. That's a really great thing to do one-on-one because you can ask questions and interrupt and everything's great. But what I want to talk about is why this matters. And I want to think about those two value propositions that we spoke about a minute ago as we do it. So we're looking at our software here. It installs in your company. You get access to it through a browser, on your phone, on your tablet, whatever. Okay. I'm going to log in, and the first thing I'm going to see is our executive review dashboard. Now, as we're trying to make better database decisions, we also have to make that easy. We can't expect somebody to look through 37 reports every morning. So the idea is let's take the metrics that are important to someone like an executive, put them on a dashboard together, and give it to them every morning. Before I go any further, there are two things about this demo system I want you guys to keep in mind because it makes it a lot more interesting. The first of which is that this is an actual distributor's information. We took it, we made a demo system out of it. All the stories that I tell in my demo are real stories from that company. That's just fun. That's why I share that with you. The other thing to keep in mind is that this is an actual installation. We don't believe it's smoke and mirrors here. Everything that I'm going to show you in this webinar is going to be available from day one if you decide to have MITS installed. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to zoom in on this and make it real easy for all of us to see. And we're going to take a look at this. It starts with simple financial information. How's my revenue and profit look over the last 13 months, right? Revenue, COGS, expense, and profit year over year, that's financial information. This is net profit, okay? How much money do we have in the bank? How much did we have before? How's it different? How much AR is owed to us and how late is it? How much AP do we owe and when's it due? That is just a general picture that every executive probably needs to see. In general, how are we doing? How much money do we have? Is there money coming in? Is there money going out, right? In the middle here, we're talking about more directly related to sales. What have we received orders for that we haven't fulfilled? How much is that? What's the margin on that? And on average, how long have those things been open? Following that, simple sales history, sales, profit, profit percentage, and average profit per invoice. Not only for the month, but year over year, as well as the trend. Down here, this is a simple stacked bar chart. Excuse me. This is a simple stacked bar chart that shows the different locations stacked on top of each other. Maybe you don't have as many locations or you don't look at your business that way. That's fine. This is all customizable. You can make it the way that you want it to be. This particular dashboard, maybe you want to see sales reps, maybe you want to see product categories. That's all great. Up here, we've got our inventory. And one of the things MITS has done, which we can talk about more on a longer demo, is we've created a program that accurately figures out your historical inventory. So what did you have a month ago? What did you have 6 months ago? How were the turns? What was dead stock? Are we getting better? Are we getting worse? Customer fulfillment. Are we delivering product to our customers quickly? And also, what percentage of the time are we shipping those lines full? And then, of course, a history of buying things, right? Because that's the thing that was missing from this. So this is cool and all, and it's great to get this in front of an executive's face so they can look at it every morning. What's really important, though, is not that we just have this and that it's automated. What's important is that we can learn things from it and take away insights. The way that that works is that every single number on the dashboard is a link to the underlying data, all of them. So if I want to know why our company is up 30% in sales, I click on that, and the system lets me break it down by a number of different ways. Now, an important note, our demo system uses very generic vocabulary, just so that everybody will understand it. These terms, whether it be product group, which is product category, or purchase supplier, which is vendor, or whatever, we're going to match the SX.e names of these things. So don't worry about that. That's just part of our install. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to break it down by customer. And now I can see all of our customers. I'll zoom this out just a little bit. Oops, too much. And we've got all of our customers and their sales for the month, and then year to date, over year to date, and the trend. Okay? As I look at this list, I can break it down a bunch of different ways. Here it is by customer. Here it is by location. You can see it quickly changes. Here it is by product category. So let's talk about analyzing, right? If your company is up by 30%, does that mean that you've got nowhere that you can improve? No, doesn't mean that at all. So let's go ahead and change this report a little bit. Let's click up here and let's add some math on the fly, and let's compare this year to last year. And then let's take that and drag it to the front, and then let's sort it low to high. What we've done now is we said, yeah, we're up 30%, but these product categories are all declining in sales. So if they hadn't declined in sales, things would look a lot better. So I'm going to click on that product category that's down in sales, and I'm going to break it down by the actual products. So now we're looking at the things that we sold under that product category, right? At that point, we're going to click on a product and break it down by the customers that bought that product. So now I can see who bought this product in this product category, and we can see all of the declines, right? The numbers over here have turned blue because now I can click on them and I can see the actual details in the system to make that up. So I can find out if that $4,000 we sold was something weird or strange that I need to know about. Okay. So that's neat and all because we figured out what's going on. Now we can send it out. We can put it into a spreadsheet and work with it. We can send it out to the person that needs to address it. But what I want to do is talk about how we go the next stage. How do we take a report like this and really dive in and learn something about our business? And to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the whole report to look at it by product. So now we're looking at our products that have declined year over year, okay? Now maybe this isn't a useful report for you. In fact, from my experience, for a lot of distributors, this report's not interesting because while it's showing you the products that are declining, it doesn't give you any other information. For example, are we even carrying these products anymore? If we've discontinued a product, I don't care that sales have declined on them. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this report around, and I'm going to do that by adding some columns to the report. Now, there's a long list of things that are already built out for sales data that we can see here. Average days late, average lead time, profit per invoice, sales per invoice, COGS, cost, blah, 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 blah. Right? I can just keep talking. There's a lot here. And all of it is broken out by all the different time periods that you might want to look at it. So that's all great. But what's really important is down here at the bottom where it says from other hypercubes. Because one of the things that's really hard in business intelligence, I don't know if you have Hyperion or whatever, but in most tools, it's very difficult to do joins, to pull data from two different places that make sense together. MITS does that automatically. Right now, we're looking at a report by product. Any other data we have by product can be pulled in. So as an example, I'm going to go to inventory, and I'm going to say, hey, here's my total on-hand value, and here's my turns. And then I'm going to go to open purchase orders, basically how much more have we bought of this thing that's not here yet, and I'm going to grab that as well. So now I've taken this declining sales report, and I've added how much we've got, how is it turning, and have we bought more of it. If I go through here and quickly throw some filters on this, it actually becomes pretty interesting. So what do we have more than $1,000 of on hand that is turning at less than a 1? and we've ordered more of it. So on the fly here, with just pointing and clicking, I took a report that showed declining products, and I added some inventory data to it, and I said, these are declining products that we have on hand, they're turning badly, and we've ordered more of them. This is a perfect example of something that almost every distributor can go and immediately take action on. For this company that does about $12 million in sales, they have $70,000 worth of product that they've ordered and have not received yet, which is crucial, right? That don't turn well, they have them on hand, and they're declining in sales. They should cancel all $70,000 of them. Okay? Pretty cool, right? Another thing that might happen is you might take this whole report, remove all those filters, and say, that's all fine, but what are we selling the most of? Now I'm looking at the products we sold the most of, and this Indigo Zap product right here is the second best-selling product in the company, and it's turning at 11.5. I don't know if you guys have witnessed this in your own business. Probably some of you have. Often when the turns number is really high, it's actually not good news. It's mysteriously, it looks like good news, but it's not good news at all. If a product is selling this crazy at this high of turn, are we confident that everything's being okay? I'm going to say no. So what do? Well, rather than drilling down on it, I'm going to run the Product 360 scorecard. And what this scorecard does is it gives you an entire picture, an entire story of that one item without running 37 different reports. And I'm going to do this at a fairly high level, but it's, are we quoting it? Have we sold it and not fulfilled the order? What's our history of selling it? What margin did we intend to sell it at? And what margin did we actually sell it at? That looks at things like overrides and things like that and compares them to see, are you actually getting the margin you expected to get? Who's selling it and what margin are they selling it at? What's our history of selling it? Here's history of selling it by month. Which customers are buying it? Are they buying more or less of it than they did before? And are they buying it at a higher or lower margin than they did before? Over here, have we bought more of it that's not here yet? What's our history of buying it? Here's a line chart. And then also, if we buy it from more than one place, which I'm sure many of you have products like that, then are we getting service the same at all of those places? Is there a place we can buy it cheaper with a longer lead time, as an example? Order fulfillment, inventory, where's it at? Okay. One of the really interesting things about distribution to me is stockouts. Stockouts is a great example of so what as it comes to analytics. If I walk into your place and I want a widget, and I say, can I buy this widget? And you say, no, I don't have it. What do? I'm probably going to go somewhere else to find it because we're in the world of immediate gratification, right? I want it right now, even if I don't need it right now. The problem is that from a software point of view, very few companies have their counter person or their sales rep entering into the computer that I came in and I didn't buy that widget. So how are we going to spot problems like that? Well, there's a bunch of different ways to do it in a tool like this. And one of my favorites is right here. It's nothing more complicated. It's a line chart showing sales by month and a line chart showing purchasing by month, right next to each other. In a perfect scenario, and you could do this if we had a little bit more time, I'd do it for you. I'd also add an on-hand value line chart as well. But basically what this story is telling us is that in January, we purchased a bunch of it, which we sold in February. And then in March and April, we bought a bunch of it, which we sold in April. And then in July and August, we bought a bunch of it, which we sold in July and August. Basically, we have a bunch of months where we didn't sell any, and we have a bunch of months where we didn't buy any. If we're turning it at a 12, how is it possible that there are months where we didn't buy any and months where we didn't sell any? The reason is because in the months where we didn't buy it, we also didn't sell it. And so what you're dealing with and what you've got here is stocking out on one of your best products in the company. All right. Another thing that is a really big deal is sales reps. And in particular, sales reps and how they prepare to talk to a customer or how they spend their day or what they focus their time on. What we need to do is we need to give them data too. We need them to also make the best informed decisions they can. Our VP of sales used to run a distribution business, an electrical distributor, and one of his biggest irritations was when his reps would walk into a customer site and say, what do you need? And the customer would say, nothing. They go, okay, have some donuts, and I'm gone, right? So how do we inform a sales rep knowing that they aren't going to want to use something new, right? Knowing that. Well, what we do is we give them a screen that auto-populates with a scorecard about their favorite topic. That's a sales joke. You know what a salesperson's favorite topic is? Themselves. I'm a longtime salesperson. I feel like I can make that joke. So what we have here is the sales rep operational scorecard, and without going through every number on here, it's basically telling them, are they meeting your goals and expectations? Are they doing better or worse than they did before? Which of their customers are having problems, open orders, open quotes, things like that? Which of their customers are buying less than they did before? What are their customers buying less of? And are their customers paying them? All in one place. And if they have a customer that they're really worried about, they can click on that customer and they can go to a scorecard specifically about that account. And now, I know that Joel Baker is down. I know they're buying less from us. So what I'll do with Joel Baker, right, is I'll go in and I'll say, okay, well, Joel Baker, these are the things you used to buy from me that you're not buying now. So now I can go into Joel Baker and I can say, by the way, I bought you some donuts. I also am curious why you don't buy face decks from me anymore. Because I know that you bought face decks before, and the particular product you were buying was year string. So why did you buy $3,000 of year string from me last year that you're not buying this year? And that's the conversation, right? Maybe somebody stole that business away from you for pennies. Maybe you can give a couple more pennies off yourselves and get that business back. Okay. So what I want to talk about now is inventory. By the way, there's a lot of dashboards in the system, and many of them talk about the idea of so what. Let's roll out dashboards to our vendor, our buyers, our inventory managers, our branch managers. Let's get them rolled out to sales managers. Let's make sure that everybody has a dashboard that talks about the key metrics to their business that they can look at every morning and make the best decision, the best decisions they can possibly make. But I want to talk about inventory. I'm going to go over to my reports, and you can see there's a huge directory of different reports, right? And I'm going to go to inventory by product category, and I want to talk about dead stock. There is nothing in 1,000 demonstrations of the software that I've talked about more than dead stock. It is a massive problem, and it's a significant issue that automating reports will not necessarily fix, even though there is still value to automating reports. So my problem with dead stock, and it's a data problem that I bet that Hans Rosling, if he were still alive, would agree with me on, is that if I'm only looking at products that I have on hand that I haven't sold in a year, that's a very black and white definition of an incredibly gray problem. So if I bring this report up that shows all of our product categories ranked by their on-hand value, and then it shows the top products from an on-hand value and a sales point of view, right? I can see there's filters on here, and I'm going to look at those filters, and it's going to say we're only looking at products that have $0 or more, basically more than that we have on hand, right? More than $0. And I'm going to look at products that are less than $1,000 in sales. Okay? You could easily say, Colin, you just told me that $0 in sales is too black and white. Why is this so different? This is different because you need to change these filters for your business. And then you need to save that report and you need to come back to it all the time. More important than this, probably, is what do I have more than $20,000 of on hand where I have less than $5,000 of it in sales? That $5,000 in sales might look great on a sales report until I realize, holy cow, I've got 4 years worth of this in inventory, right? So make 7 of these, all the different ways that you need to catch it. Find gray items, not just dead items. Find chronically ill items, things that are going to die before they die. In this report, we did a $1,000 filter and look at all the products this company finds that are terrible. This one in particular, there's $13,000 of it on hand and $600 of it in sales. That's just enough sales dollars to make sure it doesn't show up on a dead stock report. Here's the thing, there's like 25 years worth of this item in inventory. It's a really long time. And the margin's good, fine. GMRI and turns are terrible because we don't sell it. And by the way, because of that historical inventory reporting that we do, I can go grab the average of what we normally carry of this item. I can take that average and pull it over to the front of the report, and what we'll see here is, holy cow, We normally carry $9,000 of this, and right now we carry $13,000 of it. That seems really questionable because we've only sold $600 in a year. That is a data problem. That's what that is. And that is the exact example of people making decisions that are not based on good data. Because we're not letting a problem like not selling something stop us from buying more of it in this example. And by the way, I totally can go and jump from that over to a scorecard that says, here's who's buying it, here's who bought it before, that's buying less of it now. This is an important thing to think about with dead stock, because just showing you what's dead isn't actually the whole game. I have to be able to give you some way of doing something about it. Maybe I show you vendor receive date. Maybe you can turn product back to the vendor if you haven't had it too long. Maybe I show you who bought it. There's a bunch of stuff to do there. Okay. One of the questions I get asked all the time in demos that's very much about this so what idea is, what is the most valuable report? Now, that's a little bit silly because it's going to be different for different businesses. I can tell you, though, that we've done some research on people after they install, and there is one report that often comes out by being the most important, and it's not dead stock at all. It's exactly the opposite of dead stock. Because while dead stock is a frustrating problem, there's a bunch of inventory at your company that needs your attention that is actually much easier to tweak and change. And those tweaks and changes will provide a big ROI. I'm talking about your best products. This report's called the top 10 most profitable products by dollars. In this report, you'll see that we have all of our product categories ranked by profit, and then underneath each product category, we're ranking the top 10 products also by profit. So remember Indigo Zap that we talked about earlier that we're probably stocking out? Well, Indigo Zap is the most profitable product in the most profitable product category in our company. And the GMRI is great, and the turns is great too, and the margin seems really good, and the on-hand value is fine, and we just look at the data, and everything's just great. Funny enough, I had an opportunity to show this report to the president of the company that this data came from. And he said two things with looking at just this report and nothing else. First of all, he said, if I'm turning that at a 12, and I'm selling almost $400,000 of it in a year, why do I only have $60,000 of it on hand right now? That doesn't seem like enough. He also pointed out that I was so excited about the margin being much higher than the company's margin. The funny enough thing is that margin, that Indigo Zap margin, is actually lower than the product category that it's in. So compared to average products, it's not very profitable. It's just profitable compared to the company's margin. What do you think he did? He called his vendor and said, hey, I'm thinking of upping my minimum order quantity, but only if you give me a better price. The vendor said yes, as they often do, and he was able to both eliminate his concern about stocking out on this incredibly hot item while also raising the margin that's left at the end of the day. You're already carrying this item, you're already stocking it, you're already shipping it, your reps are already selling it. Everything's already done. This is simply how much money's left at the end of the day. And because of that, this is one of the most important reports you can run in your business. It just is. Not just because of that, but because of the next thing I'm going to do. I'm going to take the whole report and I'm going to filter it, still ranked by profitability. I'm going to filter it to products we don't have. If I don't have it and it generated a bunch of profit in the last 12 months, that probably deserves my attention. Okay? So you've got all these products here, and then the on-hand value, and you've got all of the other stuff. You've got turns and everything, right? There's a product down here that we sold $80,000 of in the last 12 months, and our GMRI is over 2,000, and our turns are over 27. Except that we don't have it. And remember, I showed you can grab data from other modules. So I could pull data in right now and say, is it on order? What's the lead time? All of that was the last order date. I could grab any of that I wanted. What's more fun than all of that is to go back to that Product 360 scorecard I showed you earlier. And the thing about this scorecard is that this particular story is really interesting. We've got this product that's a hot seller, right? We've got $70,000 of open orders on this item that on average have been open for 77 days. On this product we sold a bunch of. Here's the thing. We don't have it in inventory. We haven't bought more of it. We haven't ordered more of it, and we haven't ordered any of it in a year. So we're selling it. We have customers waiting on it. No one's bought any, and it's not on the way. That's kind of a funny story as long as it's not your data, right? And that is the sort of stuff that if you catch, Things like MITS are an immediate ROI, immediate, because this problem pays for MITS all by itself, as do many of the other things that we talked about today. And that's why I get excited to do this, because I can make a massive paradigm shift at these companies that we work with. We can do it because everybody needs this data. And if you get this data into the hands of the right people, they'll just make better decisions and they'll just do their jobs better and you'll just make your goals better. All right, let's talk about a couple other slides. We are going to have time for questions here in just a minute. So if you have a question, there's a question tab over on the GoToMeeting panel. Go ahead and put the question into there and I will answer them here shortly. Obviously, this wasn't a full demo. There's lots of stuff I could have shown you about how the product works. It was just kind of some of the high-level stories that are kind of fun that I've learned over time doing this. We do the installation. One of the things I've really come to understand in the SX.e world is, first of all, you all are more sophisticated than a lot of other distributors and other systems, so good job there. I've also noticed that IT projects on the SX.e system seem to take a long time, like SX.e upgrades. Don't lump us in with that. We're under a 30-day install, and we do the work. We need a little bit of your help to understand your business. It's not very much. 30 days, and you can have all this data that I just showed you, all of this content against your data. That, by the way, as part of our company, we promise will match to SX.e. It's part of our guarantee. All right, so that's my contact information. If you'd like to learn more, or you have any questions for me, or you just want to tell me what you thought of the webinar, please feel free to reach out to me. My email address is right there, my phone number as well. What I'd like to do now is take some questions. They're over here on the other monitor, so you have to see the side of my face for a little bit here. The question is, do you have any dashboards or reports that rank the profitability of customers against each other? There's a simple answer to that question and then a more complex one. The simple one is if you want to see gross margin by customer, we have that for days. We've got all types of gross margin columns. You can break it down by customer. You can look at groups of customers against each other. You can see what those customers are buying that's making them profitable or not profitable. You can look at it against goals. All of that's in there. The deeper question that he might be asking has to do with more advanced customer profitability, like customer ranking and doing all of the different things that a customer costs you. We do a bunch of that stuff as well. Most of that's pretty custom to our different customers because they'll look at that different ways, like pulling in shipping costs and, freight costs, or pulling in, overall expenses, things like that. We do all of that as well. So if you're interested in that, come talk to us as well. Okay. Question about how we're licensed. We are a site license. I don't care how many users you want to have use the system. In fact, I'd prefer your whole company to use it. That's a big part of our kind of culture here. I'm sure you heard that as we went through. We don't suggest that you just give this tool to 2 analysts and they learn about your business. This is really for widespread consumption, and that's why it's a site license. Okay, so here, not exactly the question that's being asked, but one thing to realize is that when I talk so excitedly about distribution, that's really our culture here. And one of the things that we do is every year in October, we do a user conference. And our user conferences are not quite like TUG. They're much smaller, for one thing. But we don't have vendors. We don't have booths. We don't have any of that. It's only education. And it's about business intelligence. TUG is great. I'm not taking it. I would not ever say anything bad about TUG. It's my favorite conference of the year. This is a littler conference that's specifically about analytics for distributors. We bring in guest speakers. We have our developers speak. Our customers present things, and we spend 2 days educating our customer base how to make the best decisions they can with data. All right, any other questions? Did people raise their hands? I don't see any of that. Okay. Well, in that case, what I'm going to say is thank you very much for your attention today. I'm sure that you get, there's one more question. Historically, using SX.e along with a program like Click, inventory data is always in a separate dashboard than sales data due to problems with calendars and dating. Your presentation seems to seamlessly tie to inventory to sales. Did you have to do custom programming to make that work from using SX.e data? Well, everything that we do is had custom programming at some point in time. I think I don't know the exact answer to your question. I believe that the answer is dates and timelines is what MITS understands. So we can easily tell inventory and sales that they both need to go by the same calendar, and then we can compare them against each other. That hasn't been something we've had difficulties with. Okay, thank you all for coming today. I really do appreciate it. This was a lot of fun for me. I hope it was fun for you. Please reach out. Let me know what you thought. Even if you're not interested, you can tell me that in the email and I'll leave you alone. I just like to know that people got something out of the webinar, or if you think there's something I can improve, let me know and I'll do better next time. Thank you, everybody, and everybody should go to TUG in next Orlando. If you've never been to the TUG conference, it's by far the best conference we go to. It's very well run, and there's a tremendous amount of value there. So I hope to see you guys there. Thanks a lot, and have a great day.
Thank you, Colin.